Firstly, I should like to comment on a matter of, quote, current events, unquote. That which I refer to is the recent hearing or hearings in the United States House, um, featuring such media superstars as the Democratic superstar who is not yet of age to run for president from New York, representative, who is much pilloried, let us say, during the election not so long ago. Hillary Clinton was said to have a syphilis of the brain, and she was also referred to as Hillary Bot, and the slogan was put forward, lock her up, and also the FBI agent in charge at the time brought charges against her, and then after dropping the charges, brought a second charge against her, suggesting, so I would suggest here openly, blatantly, in order to court the appeal of both sides, could it not be that we have intelligence agencies which are acting irrationally and unfairly towards persons running for office, whether of Democrat or Republican disposition? Since obviously we have the same pattern with Mr. Trump. So here, what I want to say is one can rise up above the position which is imposed upon one by the ordo, or the order, which is co-equivalent with what Plato calls the cave, or the realm of shadows, at the lower two halves of the divided line. If one wants to look further into it, the divided line. This describes, in a certain sense, the Western ethos as split between the notion of realism and a materialism. And I'll just end this by saying a nice saying in recent usage from Condoleezza Rice is that the materialism is that realism, that realpolitik, which applies to the notion that power, in some sense, say in the sense of this author of the Great Chessboard, geopolitical strategist, much studied by Alexander Dugin, has put forward this American strategy of let's be more particular. So if I speak just of a strategy in a certain sense, I speak only of something that everyone has to interpret on their own. But if I give it a specific example, I might say the strategy implies the idea that there's a distinction between desiring to set the grounds of a constitutional order, so that the constitutional order could be an order based on Montesquieu's principle of the separation of powers, and therefore a certain theory on the beauty of how the scheme thus arrived at had a peculiar elegance in its manner that was only possible to consider from the point of view of philosophical or Wissenschaft, the scientific investigation. So we deal here with certain issues which are very complicated, but which in the tradition have been approached and in some way um, faced up to, let us say.